evening, and thank you for joining us on this edition of the live podcast. Today, joined by four guests from various clubs who are here to review the season, or rather, how the season went by for their teams. We're talking about the top four teams, and we're going to start with Geylang International, followed by Home United, followed by Tampines Rovers, and last but not least, we're going to touch on the champions, Albirex Niigata Singapore. All right, so let's go on to the team that's going to finish fourth. I hope they finish fourth, all right, because there's still one more game to go. Anything could happen. Maybe Warriors could just catch up, on points and maybe exceed the goal difference. But right now for Geylang International, I think they are well poised to finish the season in fourth. And with me today is Geylang International fan Jeff Saleh, who will be sharing his thoughts about how he thinks the Eagles' season went. So, first up, let's take a look at the stats of Geylang International this season. Of course, we're going to look at what has happened after Noor Ali took over and the season as a whole. So for Geylang itself, this season they have chalked up 11 wins, 3 draws and 9 losses. Now under Noor Ali, he actually got majority of the wins, 7 out of 11. And of course, for Geylang, it's kind of hard to pinpoint the goals on just one person alone, but this season Shawar Anwar has done particularly well, scoring 10 goals, and today it was announced that he's been called up to the national team again, which I think is something that many local football fans have been calling for. Now, Jeff, just want to hear your thoughts about Geylang International. As a Geylang fan, looking at the team this season, do you feel that they have exceeded your expectations, or do you think that they could do better?
So thanks, Aaron, for having me on the podcast. As a Geylang fan, I think we have exceeded expectation. I think there's no doubt about it, given our squad size, given the players that we have. I think we have done pretty well. And if you look at the statistics that where we didn't win, we actually get draw or loss, it's really from the team that are above us. And which means that we actually do the job when we need to do it. And we except for Albirex, I think that was one of the matches that I left pretty disappointed with. But the rest, I feel that we gave a good run. But we gave our best, we lost. So we are quite proud of the season so far. That's for sure.
All right, so looking a little bit into the statistics of the team this season. Club top scorer Shawar Anwar, 10 goals. Victor Cotto, who is a striker, scored only 5 goals this season. The other goals coming from Ricardo Sendra, 4 goals. Shafiq Ghani, 4 goals. Gabriel Quack, 2 goals. Now let's talk a bit about Victor Cotto. I think a lot of Geylang fans would agree that he's one of the workhorses. He runs, I think he covers every blade of grass in every single game. But somehow the goals are just not coming for him. Now, as a fan, maybe let me just ask you, do you think that we should retain Cotto? I mean, if you are the Geylang coach, would you retain him for next season? Do you think it's a good move, or would you go for another striker?
It's a very tough question. Because personally, I think he's one of the players that I really like best. But if you're going to be objective on this and measuring him for what he's paid to do, you probably won't retain him. I mean, you're a striker. Your job is to make goals, is to score goals, right? But one thing that we kind of overlook, that how many of these goals that are being scored, he started it, or sometimes some of the goals that I remember, he fought for lost causes, things that balls that are almost going out at the corner flag, and he still went for it, and that ended up with good chances, or at the back of the net. So that play, I think is one of the things that he has proven from time to time for Geylang. So if you measure him just for a striker, unless we can get someone better, the physical presence as well as the ability to hold up the ball and bring Shawal into play, Amy when he's on, and even Shafiq, is important. Sandra is doing well, but I think Victor bring that extra physical dimension to the game for Geylang. Geylang is pretty small and soft team in some sense.
It's good that you should mention about comparison of the foreign players, or rather the role the foreign players play in Geylang International. Because if you look at the foreign imports that Geylang had in 2016, comparing him to Mark Hartman, who of course came in much later in the season. He came in after the transfer window. But Hartman in the league played 5 games and scored 3 goals. If you compare that kind of goal scoring record to Victor Koto, right, I mean, it's quite a big difference as compared to 21 appearances, 5 goals in 21 appearances. And if we turn back the clock a little bit further, let's look at 2015, right? Josef Kaplan, who's actually not even an out-and-out striker, managed to score 12 goals in 27 appearances. Now, in terms of foreign imports, I mean, based on stats itself, we can see that there's actually a downtrend in goals. But of course, goals does not always mean that the player is doing well or not doing well. It's not a very good indicator of how successful they are. But you've been a Geylang fan for a while. Now, looking at your imports from 2015 until the present day, do you think that Geylang is playing better with the imports that they have, or are they doing worse? Of course, you guys are poised for your best finish in 14 years. If you finish 4th this season, even if you finish 5th, you are poised for your best finish in 14 years. So, of course, people would say like, oh, we're finishing 4th, what? We are doing well, what? You know, it's a team effort. But foreign imports do play a very key role in the team, So, what do you think?
Totally agree on Hartman. He came in, he made a straight impact, right? We beat Albirex. I still remember we beat Albirex, and it was his goal from a free kick. Unfortunately, he's only effective when he's playing. And he do spend significant amount of time in the physio's room or on the massage table. So I think by far, I feel in terms of striker, he probably, if we can keep him fit, he's definitely going to give us the returns. He has the physical presence, he has the awareness. I agree with you. There's a downward trend. There's a downward trend in terms of the foreigners or the quality of foreigners. Without knowing the club financials, I think that may be playing a bit of a part on what we can afford. I think if we do have a bit more in our war chest, we're probably going to have a better somebody. If we can pay Ramazzotti or something like that. No, probably we could get somebody of a higher quality. But we have what we had, and I think that's how the cards are played at this point.
Do you think it's a key point or do you think Sahil Suhaimi played a key role last season, therefore allowing the foreign players to feed off him with his diagonal runs, distract opposing defenders? Because this season, to be honest, we haven't seen any real out-and-out strikers in Geylang. Amy Reka has been playing a role of a support striker, but he's also not a true out-and-out striker. But last season, you guys had Sahil, and this season, basically all the balls are going to Victor Koto, and then occasionally we see Gabriel sprinting down or Shower sprinting down. And that has been the game plan of Geylang for a large part of the season. How big a role do you think Sahil played last season, and his departure, was it a loss for you guys?
It is. I feel it is. It would be good to have Sahil still around because I think there would be a better outlet up front. Luckily, Geylang is not a team that kind of push the ball forward. We try to keep the ball on the ground, so it kind of helped Sahil. I mean, given Sahil build and height, that's how we need to play. The only time we start pumping high balls is when Yuki is up there and we try to chase the game. But I think it's not. I don't see it's a major loss that we kind of lose our plot and things like that. I would say it's a case of more good to have. If he's around, I think we could definitely get a few more goals. But I don't think Noor or even Hasrin before they lose any sleep at that point when he decided to leave Geylang.
It's interesting that you should mention Yuki, because this season, right, Yuki actually has the most appearances together with Gabriel Quek. But of course, Gabriel Quek has been subbed off quite a number of times, whereas Yuki has, I think, played most of the games, lasted through the 90 minutes. And the player that played the most minutes this season was also Yuki with 2,000 over minutes on the pitch, followed by Shazwan Buhari. How much longer do you think Yuki can last? I mean, okay, he came from Albirex, of course, and he's still very fit, right? But there comes a time where players start to slow down, like Farah and Bennett at Tampines. Do you think it's time for Geylang to bring in someone, fitter? Okay, let's say if you could have any player, you could sign any player in the S-League, right? Who could come in and complement your team? Who would you sign?
That's tough. But let me just touch on Yuki. I think Yuki should still be around for the next couple of years. I think the partnership, the statistic don't lie. The reason why he played that many minutes is because he's that important. The team totally crumbled in the back line against Tampines because Yuki was totally battered out. I feel if Yuki is still in the game and with Tampines, we probably at least get a draw, at least. With Enders, I think we have a good balance of youth and a bit more experience. So I'm pretty happy with the centre back. On the question on who we would like, I don't have specific name, but I think whoever that we want needs to be a utility player, especially on the wing backs, both in the midfield and the right back and left back position. We need somebody who can fill up those roles because there are gaps, and somehow for this season, we lost players and we lost them for a long while. So we don't need young players to fill this gap, but experienced head to settle down the team.
Okay, I'm going to put you in a spot right now because Geylang International, in my opinion, has one of the most strongest backlines in the league. I mean, you have no shortage of talent to choose from. Now, who's your ideal back four defenders? I mean, you have plenty to choose from. Like you have Darren Tay, Safirul Sulaiman, you have Yuki, of course, you have Enders, you have who else? Al-Qasimi, yeah. So who's your ideal back four? Or would you play a back three system and play wing backs? Because again, Geylang has two super fast wing backs, Shawar and Gabriel. And when Stanley comes back from his injury, he's also a very fast player. What kind of system would you play in Geylang if you were Noah Ali?
I would tend to go with the three at the back, but that seems to be our ace at this point. If I'm going to put four across, I think Yuki and Enders is self-selection. Up there, Faris, if we have, we need to move forward, I'll probably put Faris on the right, sorry. It's really between Stanley and Qasimi at this point on the left back slot. One thing, both of them are not really naturally left-footed, so we don't have any natural at this point showing any kind of form on the left back position. So that one is up for grabs. Given the current form, it's probably Stanley keeping the berth.
All right, good thoughts there coming from Jeff. Okay, before we pass on the mic to the next fan, which is from Home United, okay, let's look at Noor Ali's record since taking over Geylang. I think it's quite commendable because Noor Ali took over somewhere in June. The first game he was in charge of was against Global, and that's the game they came back to draw 4-4 before losing on penalties. Of course, Gabriel missing that crucial last spot kick. But ever since Noor Ali took over, his record, 7 wins, 1 draw, 4 losses, all right? And as you mentioned earlier, the 4 losses only came from teams that were above Geylang International. And the 1 draw came against Tampines, which was a 1-1 draw in June. Now, for Noor Ali, I think he actually rose to prominence quite quickly because he was in charge of your Prime League side for quite a while. And then when Hasrin decided to go on personal leave, Noor Ali came in. As a fan, okay, from last season up until this season, right? After Noor Ali took over, did you find that the team was more exciting to watch?
I think in during the Hasrin era, I think there's more established players that kind of get into the seat. One of the things that very prominent in terms of what Noali did and kind of successful. First, Gabriel came back into the first 11. Towards start of the season, he was on the bench and he came in. Body language wasn't really good, but with Noali, he got that spot. He pretty much sealed that spot. And the defense, I think. He gave chances to the younger players. So I do see that the younger players that get the chance will try to prove. And it's from there we get to see if what at different competitions or some parts of S.League. So I think with Noali, the team kind of feel that I have a chance. He will call out on us, and maybe it's because our bench is very light, but they got a chance and they work hard. Yeah, when they get a chance, they work hard for it. Yeah.
All right, so Jeff, want to hear your thoughts. For you, who was your player of the year? It can be a Geylang player, it can be a player from another team lah. Your player of the year and your young player of the year. Young player must be under the age of 23.
I would, this is biased, but I think, Shawal, to me, definitely needs to be up there. If he's not number one, he's definitely going to be the top 3 players in this season. Under 23, I go with a bit unconventional. To me, if under 23, I will give it to Irfan. All right, Irfan Fandi. I mean, he's a regular first 11. He captained the side from time to time. For some reason, the coach see something in him, and we have to respect that. And I feel for under 23, there's no one that has a consistent presence in the first 11 and also carrying the team forward. So we have to acknowledge the fact that the organization, the coach, the organization trusts having him there and give him the captaincy. So it's pretty natural that I will give it to him.
All right, thanks for sharing your thoughts, Jeff. We'll come back to you in a while with regard to the national team selection. Okay, right now, let's move on to Home United. So with me, I have Eddie Hirono from Home United Supporters Club. Now, Eddie, for Home United, this season, statistics-wise, 15 wins, 4 draws, and 4 losses. Compared to 2016 when Philip Au was in charge, 11 wins, 4 draws, and 9 losses. Kind of improvement in terms of statistics. Okay, your club top scorer this season is also the leading scorer for the league. Stipe has 25 goals to his name so far. Second top scorer is Faris Ramli, who is also joint local top scorer with Shari Ishak, 11 goals this season. Now for Home United, I know finishing third place is, well, could be kind of a disappointment for you, but please share your thoughts. How do you think your team did in 2017?
First off, I'd like to say that it was the play was much more exciting this year. There's nothing against Philip Au. I think Philip Au did a great job for us. But the personnel this year was much better. So I think, Aaron, you're right in saying that third might be seen as a bit of a disappointment. Much of the disappointment in finishing third, I think, has to be balanced out by the exciting cup run that we went on. And I mean the AFC Cup, not the League Cup, because that wasn't much of a run. Yeah, we just died in the group stages. But so the AFC Cup run, I think, made up for the fact that a lot of there could be quite a big disappointment in the fact that we finished third. Why is it disappointing? As I said, because the lineup that we had and the depth that we had this season was really, I think, unparalleled amongst the local clubs. In fact, just looking at the lineup, you would have thought that I think we would have thought that we would have pushed Albirex a bit closer. We might not have won it. I think I predicted that at the start of the season that we finished in the top 2. We didn't finish the top 2, and that's down to a very late, consistent run by Tampines and also a bit of inconsistency by Home United in the past game, in the games after they got knocked out of the AFC Cup, basically. Yeah, so that's my review of the season, and I think At the end of the day, I'm not disappointed because of the sheer amount of goals and excitement that this season has brought. But is it disappointing to finish third? Yeah, maybe.
Okay, let's talk a bit about your disciplinary record, because collectively, right, Home United has one of the most number of yellow cards collectively, all right? Most yellow cards, Abdul Karim, 5 yellow cards. I think no surprise there, because Abdul is a hard player. But Kamara, Irfan, Song, Shamil Sharif, Haris Harun, Izdin Shafiq have each got 4 cards. Kamara surprisingly only got 1 red card this season in the league. Do you think it's a desire, the desire of the players who want to win, therefore they are putting in so many crunching tackles? What do you think contributed to this kind of disciplinary record?
Well, actually, I think it's a great sign of teamwork, actually, because I was there looking at all these yellow cards, right? But most of these yellow cards are not the result of crunching tackles. They're more the result of 2 things. One is Home United's very attacking play. So if you watch Home United games, you realize that even the fullbacks push up a lot, and so you create it's a bit like how Arsenal play lah. So there's tons of players overloading the box, right outside at the fringes of the box with 1 or 2 inside the box. And what happens then, obviously, is when you lose the ball, you run into situations like where you have to haul players back or trip them subtly and all that. And I mean, that's great. I love nothing more than seeing the sight of an opposition player riding on the ground after being pulled back. It's passion. It's passion.
Okay, let's talk a bit about your foreign imports this season. Song and Kamara have been there for quite a while. So we will not talk about these 2 players, but we'll talk about Stipe, who came in from Hougang with a much more humble season last season. I feel that his statistics were not so awesome as they are this season. But looking at Stipe this season, 21 appearances, 25 goals. That gives us roughly about 1.19 goals per game. That means every time he comes on, he's going to at least score 1 goal. That's how good his record is, okay? Now, there are plenty of people who are saying how good Ken Ilso is. So what I did was I did a comparison of how Ken Ilso did for Home United in 2015 and 2016. Ken Ilso in 2015, 19 appearances, 11 goals, which means that his record is half a goal every game, meaning he will score 1 goal every 2 games. 2016, Ken Ilso, 19 goals in 22 appearances, 0.8 or 80% that he will score a goal. Good, but still not as good as Stipe. So, do you think that Stipe was a very good replacement for Ken Ilso? Were you surprised at the start of the season when it was announced Stipe Plaziba is signing for Home United? What were your thoughts that were going through your mind?
I think the first thought that was going through my mind was that Stipe had a bit of an underwhelming season when he first came. But that wasn't surprising to me because, it's a foreign league. And I thought that, if the Home United coaches and the hierarchy saw something in Stipe Plazibat, then, why not? Just give it a go, see how it goes. And I mean, admittedly, last season I didn't watch too many Hougang games as well. So I couldn't have had much of an input as to how good he was and everything. So when he came, I think there is more a sense of expectancy, but also I think you're right in saying that I might not have expected him to reach Ken Ilso's goal output, which is like a very respectable 19 goals in 22 appearances, as you have said, right? 0.86 goals per game. That's pretty impressive. So I think at the start of the season, I was hoping for him to reach similar heights. Now, if we were to compare why Stipe Plazibat probably scored so many goals this season, I think I hope he doesn't begrudge me this, but I don't think it's just down to him alone. Let's analyze Ken Ilso from 2015 to 2016. You see a big jump there, and you might chalk that down to him getting acclimatized to Singapore and everything. But I think it's more likely that the return of Farish Ramli had something to do with that. Now, Farish Ramli is, as you know, a very good player who takes up a lot of the defense's attention. So 2015 and 2016, you see a big jump already because Farish Ramli only joined in 2016, if I'm not wrong. So that probably contributed to why Ken Ilso was able to flourish more. He had more space, more time on the ball. Opponents were distracted by the presence of Farish Ramli as well. Helped to drag defenders away. And that really came into light, that really came into play in 2017 when Farish Ramli was not shunted out to the wings. I think credit to Aidil Sharin. What he did was he played Farish Ramli in a sort of support striker / attacking midfielder, central attacking midfielder hybrid, which is something that frankly I didn't think was possible, Frank. Because Faris Ramli looks like a very slight guy. You wouldn't really say that, his passing is the best. And usually, when you play in the hole behind the striker, you expect someone who can really either shoot and contribute many goals, or someone who has a killer pass. At the start of the season, I didn't think Faris Ramli had either. Again, neither of those attributes belong to him. But I think with his goal output this season, you can see that. I think it's clearly because of his ability, right? What happens is that he finds himself in many promising positions. So him and Stipe feed off each other in that their runs actually give each other space. And if you were to analyze that further, you look at the impact on the team when Khairul Nizam went off injured. After that, the team scored less goals. I don't think this is a coincidence. I think Khairul Nizam is another part of the trident that occupies a lot of attention. A different kind of threat, like a wrecking ball, like corner kick, then he'll just rough up defenders and all that. Very direct, always willing to take on his defenders. So I think it's for these reasons, right, Stipe, great achievement. But I think he couldn't have done it without the support of a very good team behind him as well. Yeah. And that probably explains why he didn't do so well in Hougang, part of the reason. Yeah.
Okay, a couple of comments coming in for Home United, so I'm going to read them out to you. I'm going to read out two comments to you. Let's address them one after the other. First one coming from King Hui. If not for Philip setting the foundation, Ideal wouldn't have had this much success either. All right. Agree or disagree? And your thoughts. All right. And for the other one coming in from Jarudin Jumahat. Well, what he's saying that Stipe really surprised him this season and AFC was the best of all. That free kick in injury time. I think we all remember that free kick against, was it Global? Yeah, Global FC. So maybe let's address the issue about Philip building up the foundation for Home United such that Ideal could feed off it. Do you agree with this?
I think one thing is that I can't turn back time for sure. So we can't do the reverse experiment where Philip didn't set the foundation. We are in a situation where Philip has already set the foundation. So we can only try and guess what impact that has had. If you ask me, I think it's had a big impact. The reason for this is that many of the fringe players, so for example, Akari Abdullah, Shamil Sharif, and Sufianto Saleh and all that, they obviously, I hope they don't begrudge me saying this, but they're not the key players in this team. But at various parts of the season, they've all had to contribute, right? Now, if Philip hadn't introduced this very ground-based passing philosophy right from the youth setup until the first team, right, might Shamil Sharif, Sufianto Saleh, and Akari Abdullah, Haziq Azman even, might these players have struggled to try and keep up with the more supreme technicians like Isdin Shafiq, Haris Harun, Stipe, Song? Possible, right? Song himself, I think, has made such a great improvement over the past few seasons. He is definitely not the same player he was even 3 years ago. So, I would agree more than disagree with what King Hui has said. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to point out, to me it's quite a worrying fact, but I'm just going to point out to you and let's hear your thoughts about this. Stipe Plazivat, 25 goals, Faris Ramli, 11 goals. Now, it's actually rumoured that these two players will be leaving your club at the end of the season. The next player that contributed the most goals is Khairul Nizam, who was injured halfway through the season. It was quite a pity because we didn't get to see him more. Now, with these players supposedly leaving, right, do you think that you should sign someone to come in and replace them? Or do you think younger players can step up to the plate? I mean, you have players who are up and coming like Ikram Rifki, you have Amiruddin Ashraf. Are they good enough to step into the shoes of Faris who's leaving as one of your attacking wingers? And who do you think could step up as a striker? Who would you sign or who would you bring into the fray from the younger levels?
Well, I think obviously one of the replacements you'll be thinking of, given Khairul Nizam's long-term injuries, if you look for an internal solution, you're going to look at like Amiruddin Ashraf, right? And Marian Suto. Is it possible that these two players combined can reach the output of Stipe Plazibat, 25 goals? Possible. As nothing's impossible in this world, I guess. But is it probable? Maybe not. Right? What Stipe did this season was, as I said, a result of him and his partnership with Faris Ramli. So, we're going to lose both of them. So, the coach is going to have a tough time. The club is going to have to bring in 2 players who can hit it off just as well. Try and replicate exactly what was done. That's not going to be easy, right? How are we going to replace them? I mean, I'm not paid the big bucks to make these decisions, but if we could, we could do better than looking at the Albirex players. I mean, we could do worse, than looking at the Albirex players. Obviously, if they're the title-winning side, then try to steal their players.
Okay, I'm going to address one of these comments that came in. Okay, coming from Geraldine Jumahat. With regard to what we were talking about earlier, Ken also against Stipe Plasipat. What he's saying that we can't compare because King Ken can play a lot of positions and he's also a creator. I think Stipe is more of a out and out forward. What do you think?
Well, I think Stipe also drops very deep into possession and tries to build from the back, especially when we are losing. You see him actually sometimes in centre mid with Khairul Nizam and Faris Ramli ahead of him. Sometimes, even one or two of the fullbacks are ahead of him. So Stipe does that because he knows his experience in J-League 2, where he was played in the hole or even as a centre midfielder. And I think that's actually that used to be his bread and butter, keeping possession, trying to link up play between the deeper midfielders and the strikers. But obviously this season he had a goal explosion, and I think that's great for us. I'm not sure I can say I predicted it because I don't want to sound like one of those indie fans who pretend to know about these bands before they exist. But it's great for us, so I can't complain. But I think he's at home in midfield as well.
And also some comments coming online about Haris Harun coming back and lending a different edge to the team, bolstering the defense. But also, conversely, there are some people that are saying Haris shouldn't be playing centre-back. What do you feel? Should Haris play a centre-back? I mean, you have sufficient centre-backs, to be fair. In Home United, you have so many defenders. I mean, Abdul Kaim is an established centre-back. Afiq Yunus is quite an established centre-back, right? You have Irfan, who is playing every game. Would you play him as centre-back if you were the coach?
I think one thing that Haris Harun lends to the whole team, obviously, is his bags of experience. As good as Afiq Yunus and Abdul Kaim are, they are just obviously not as assured in possession as Haris Harun. And that's very understandable because Haris Harun, as you have rightly mentioned, is a midfielder. Right? If you play a midfielder in the back line, obviously that's going to mean that the guy is more assured in possession. Now, tactically, would you put Haris Harun in midfield? Possibly. But what happens then is that you might lose the ability to build from the back against teams that press in your half. Another thing that you lose is the ability to play long ball. So right now we have Izdin Shafiq, who sits at the base of midfield and he sprays long passes, right? Now if the opposing central midfielders were to close down on Izdin Shafiq, at least you have Haris Harun behind who can still play that similar long pass from behind. And it's less likely that teams will push their striker all the way to go and harry Haris Harun. Because if you do that against a team like Home United with the supreme technicians we have, right, we'll easily find space and before you know it, Faris or Stipe is free and it's a goal. So I can only try to guess what Aidil Sharin is trying to do. He maybe was just looking to Haris to lend a bit of calm at the back and also to spray the long passes when needed, which he has done quite a few occasions. Yeah.
Okay, now let's move on to your changes you will make to your team. Because, once again, you guys would be progressing to the AFC. I'm not sure if it's going to be qualifiers first, then followed by AFC, or you're going in straight, but definitely you guys are going to play in continental competition next season. What changes would you like to make to the team in order to maybe progress past the ASEAN Zonal Finals this time? What would you do?
I think this is slightly linked to the question just now. But first, obviously, the first order of the day is to replace Stipe and Faris Ramli if they are both indeed going, which I hear they are. That will be obviously the toughest task that the Home United hierarchy have to look at. Beyond that, frankly, I think the depth was so good this season that it took a very unfortunate injury crisis for us to even look looked to be in a situation where we had to play people out of position and all that. Most of the time, frankly, we were playing people in their correct positions. Ikram Rifki obviously was being played at left back for 1 or 2 matches, but I think that has more to do with tactical decision made by Aidil Sharin to perhaps land a bit more of an attacking edge as compared to Sufianto Saleh, who is a bit more of a defensive player. Other than that, I really don't see us needing to add more. If anything, maybe we need to just try to keep our players fit. We lost too many players through injury. I think in certain matches it was, or rather for a certain stretch of matches, it's like we only played 1 foreigner. And I think in this league, that's a bit of a handicap.
Okay, to end this off, Eddie, who are your choices for player of the season, young player of the season?
It's completely biased. Stipe Plaziba is the player of the season for exceeding all expectations. And, and obviously the young player of the season will be Adam Swandi for me. I think he had a stretch in the middle of the season where his form tailed off a bit. But that's probably because of his involvement with the SEA Games squad. But he started off the season fantastically. He played very well in continental competition as well. And at the end of the season, you see once again that, he's a very useful ball player. Very good for keeping possession. I mean, if I was to liken him to someone, I liken him to Samir Nasri. So Samir Nasri, in terms of the playing style and, the build and everything, obviously not the cuntishness, but like Samir Nasri. Yeah, I think Adam Swandi is one to really look out for. In fact, I'm a bit surprised that he's not been called up for the national team this time round. And I think that hints obviously at Sundram's approach. It's not a keep ball approach, which I think is sad. But yeah.
Okay, Eddie, thank you so much for your thoughts on Home United. Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to come back to you later, right, on the selection of the national team players from Home United that were announced this afternoon. Okay, we're going to move on to Tampines Rovers, and in front of me I have Small Donovan, who is a Tampines fan for how many years? How many years have you been a Tampines fan? Since 21 years? Oh, 21 years. So since almost the inception of the league. So Small Donovan has been supporting Tampines for the last 21 years, and we're just going to zoom in on the last 2 seasons and let's see how your team did, okay? 2017, 17 wins for Jurgen Rupp, 2 draws and 4 losses, as compared to 2016 where you had 15 wins, 4 draws and 5 losses. Of course, last season was kind of a mix-up because first you had Sundram, and then halfway through he got drafted to the national team to be the national team coach, and then Akbar Nawaz took over. I think before this session we were talking about Akbar Nawaz and you were praising and saying that he should have stayed longer. Look at what he's doing with Global right now, playing a really good attacking game. Well, for Tampines Rovers, what are your thoughts about their performance this season? Do you think they did well? I mean, they did retain their second position, which they have been finishing second for the last 4 seasons. Do you think they did better this season as compared to last season?
Well, I think we are on 53 points right now. And I mean, if you look at the league table last year, 53 is actually more than enough to get us the title. So I would say after what happened last season, I've kind of managed my expectations a little because obviously on paper last year we have probably the strongest squad in the S.League. So this season there's a bit of changes, change of transfer policy. I mean, obviously they let go of all the 3 imports. I mean, they brought in younger and probably untested players. I mean, obviously Megumi is first year as a pro. So I would say in conclusion we have done well. I'm actually really pleased with what Jurgen has. How he has actually set out the team to play. I think, I would say I'm really pleased, especially finishing on top of Home United. Because at the start of the season, to be fair, I mean, Home United, they have the strongest squad, and we actually lost a few players to them as well. I was actually a bit worried, to be honest, at the start, but I would say finishing Home United is definitely an achievement. Yeah. Because obviously that they really exceeded my expectation. I thought we could have finished 3rd or 4th, maybe. The best, yeah, so.
Okay, let's look at the scoring department, which I think this season you don't really have a single striker who's scoring that many goals. Your top scorer this season is actually Megumi and Joni, 7 goals each, followed by Khairul Amri, who's injured, 6 goals. Shadan Sulaiman, 5 goals. Hafiz Sujat, 4 goals. Is it a worrying sign for you that the goals are being spread amongst so many players? Or would you prefer to have, when you used to have Durich where he can contribute like 20, 25 goals a season. Which Tampines do you prefer?
I think for him to win a title, I mean, if you look at Albirex or title challengers, Albirex obviously has Sano, who is like scoring a lot of goals for them. Home United has Stipe, Faris, and even Karun Nizam, who is not playing every game, has like 7 goals. So I would say that's like really worrying. We don't have a we don't have a striker that can really get us like 15 to 20 goals a season. And for us to finish second, I think like I mentioned earlier, that's like already an achievement. So moving forward, I would say like this season, I really hope that we can get a striker, a proven one, that can at least get us like 15 to at least like 15 goals a season. Apart from that, I mean, Megumi has done well, 7 goals as a winger, and he has been one of our main outlet, when it comes to attack, creating chances, attacking the space. In terms of like the foreign import, I will definitely keep Megumi. And Zotny and Song, I mean, I will make this decision to obviously let them go. 7 goals is not good enough for a striker, and Song, I wouldn't actually waste a slot on a holding mid. I will actually use that import that import slot for probably like a center defender or even like another winger.
So it's interesting that you should mention about the foreign players, because the next thing we're going to look at are the key foreign import comparisons. Now, in 2017, as you mentioned, Joni and Megumi and Song are the 3 foreigners that you have, and the 3 of them together have contributed 15 goals, with only 1 goal coming from Son Yong-chan. Joni 7 goals, Megumi 7 goals. Comparing this to 2016, when you had Billy Mehmet and Jordan Webb, who contributed 12 goals each in 22 appearances. And of course, Jermaine Pennant, who gave us 5 goals in 21 appearances. So if you look at the stats, right, actually Jordan Webb was, in terms of return of goals, Jordan Webb was doing better than Megumi. But do you think this is a fair reflection of the performance, or do you think that Megumi outshone everybody this season?
Okay, I was really worried when we lost Webb to Warriors. Obviously he was like the best player for us last season. But Megumi has like really surprised me. He's a bit of an unknown at the start of the season. Obviously he scored like 7 in 22 as compared to Jordan Webb, who has like 12 in 22. But I mean, from the way they play, I actually, to be honest, I would prefer Megumi to Webb right now. Yeah, and Webb is like a bit inconsistent. He's like, he tends to drift like in and out of the game, at times, and probably maybe a bit too fanciful. Whereas Megumi is like a bit more direct, and I think if a player is more direct, definitely, I mean, the end product is, there will definitely be a better end product lah. Yeah, so I would say like we should keep on. We should keep Megumi, and yeah. He's definitely he's going to be a key player for us, if you ask me.
Now, as a Tampines fan, in 2015, you had Rodrigo Tossi, who came from DPMM, and you have Matteo Roscam. 2016, Billy Mehmet, Jordan Webb, Jermaine Pennant. 2017, Ivan Joni, Megumi Son. To you as a fan, do you think it's like what I shared with Jeff earlier? Do you think it's like a downtrend in terms of the foreigners that you're hiring? Because when we started this season, Tampines is well known for hiring big names. But this season, when they signed these 3 foreigners, everyone was like, who are they? I've never heard of them before. Do you think it's because of the expenditure on Pennant last season, therefore this season they had to operate on a very tight budget? And as a fan, what would you like to see next season? Would you like to see them signing big names again? Or like you mentioned, keep Megumi and then try to, maybe blood some youngsters to come into those important positions like the holding midfield role? What would you do?
Well, I mean, everyone is aware of the fact that we actually overspent last season. And that's why this season we actually have issues like paying our bills, not paying CPF, not paying salary. If you're going to spend so much on one Pennant and then you struggle the next season, then what's the point, right? I would say like moving forward, the direction will still be to make sure to get like young players hungry, maybe a bit of an unknown, but you never know, as in like if you really can get it right, You can actually unearth like another Megumi. So I would say that this will be the direction to go. I'm not one for big names after what happened last season. Because with this squad we actually did better than last season in terms of the points tally. So I would say like that would be the direction to go Yeah, but obviously we need someone to step up, and if you look at the last few seasons, we have players who reach double digits. This season, like the top scorer is like only 7 goals, and a return of like 1 goal in 3 games it's just not good enough for a team who is like challenging for the title. Yeah, but I mean, having seen that, I would say like 10 minutes really exceeded my expectations, and I would say like I actually, to be honest, at the start of the season, I have my reservations about Jurgen Ruck. But he has proved me wrong. He has done well with the team that he has, and I think he should be given like more time, to try to go again for the title this season. And just one thing to add on, I was looking at the results for this season. I would say we lost the title because we lost all the games to Albirex. We lost 4 games throughout the season, once to Warriors, and I think that was like a last-minute penalty. The other 3 games, apart from the first game where it was controversial because we were made to retake that penalty, I still remember, that game at National Stadium. It kind of like set the tone for the season, The other 2, no complaints it was 4-0, 4-1. And obviously the 2 cup games where we played our first team and we still lost to Albirex on a 7-1 aggregate. So you have to really give it to them. I mean, they have done well, they deserve the title. But I would say we really lost we lost out to Albirex because we basically lost to them. If you look at our track record against the other teams, I would say it's really solid. With the points tally that we have, we finished on 48 points in 27 games in 2015, and in 23 games this season we have already gotten like 53 points. So it's still an improvement but it's just that Albirex is too good
Okay, moving on to your players with the most appearances and most minutes. Most appearances, Mustafik Farudin, 23 starts, 23 games, 23 starts. Megumi, 22 games. Bennett, 21 games. Most minutes also shared between Mustafik, Megumi, and Bennett. Is it a worrying sign for you? Because, the players who are starting the most games for you, one is 39 years old and the other one is 36 years old.
I think age has never been like an issue for me. I mean, if you are really good enough, then you play. It's as simple as that. But for Farah and Bennett, to be honest, I was like really quite surprised by the stats as well. Farah is like the player who has started all the games this season. So credits to the 2 of them. I think they are like really role models. And Farah, I follow his career. He came to Singapore first season wasn't really like playing much for 10 minutes. Then they loaned him out to Sengkang Marine for a season. And after that, when he came back, he has been like he's like a legend for 10 minutes. I see him more as like a one-man club. And you look at the S.League today, I think 10 minutes has like the highest number of players that has stayed for the longest time. People like Farah, even Shadan, Shadan started out at 10 minutes, obviously went to Lions Shelf and came back. We have players like Ismadi and Jufri Taha, who is not even like a first team, but he has been with the club for quite a couple of years. So if you ask me, I think 10 minutes still has its values as a club. I think they try to retain good players, players who can still do a job. Obviously we also brought back like Jamil Ali and Imran, even though they have not like really played much this season. But I would say really we have to give Farah and Bennett all the credits. I think they really I would say really role model. And I hope they will stay around for next season, so that players, up and coming players like Shannon, or who else? That Prime League guy, 47, right? Yeah. So I think these are players that can really learn from them. To become, to basically focus their career. To basically do their best for the club, and to play for as long as they can. Look at Bennett, he's like turning 40, but he's still dominating strikers in the league. If you look at the number of goals where we considered 20 this season and 10 were to Albirex. So we basically only considered 10 goals in 20 games against the rest of the league. I think that says a lot.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the Geylang fan. Do you think you guys miss Bennett? Now, since he mentioned Bennett, and Bennett has been doing really well for Tampines this season. Last season, Geylang was pretty rock solid at the back with Bennett in the centre-back position. What do you think, Jeff?
I think we miss him in the short term, but if Bennett is still around, I'm not so sure whether Anders is going to play. So we would have missed Anders' capabilities. But Bennett is still good on the left back, which I feel where we can still slot him if he's around.
Okay, back to the Tampines fan. Now, you mentioned that you will take away players like Joni, you will take away players like Son. Okay. Let's talk about your central forward position. You have Khairul Amri, you have Fazrul Nawas, you have even Hafiz Rahim, who's not been playing for a very long time. I've not seen him for a very long time. How do you think you guys would play next season? Do you think you will continue to put your trust in Amri, who is like injury proneness, maybe 20 every time injured and Fazrul Nawas, who's yet to be back at his best? Would you place your trust in these local players to try to score more goals for Tampines, or would you go for a big foreign striker?
Like I mentioned earlier, I think I would definitely go for a big foreign striker. In fact, the other slot that is like taken by Song right now, Song Yong Chuan. I mean, I like him as a player. He's hardworking. He basically his role is to basically sit in front of the defense and recycle the ball. But I think foreign import is like really important for us, and I think we need a big foreign striker. Like I mentioned, we need someone who can get us like at least 15 goals a season. And probably like another winger, so that we can like have a really I think we can score goals. With also Megumi on the right flank. In terms of how the team will be playing, I think Jurgen has his own system. I think we have done like a 3-4-2-1, which has kind of worked well for us. But we have the players to play that formation well, to be honest. So I would say that 2 and 1 might as well just go all foreign. The 3 are pretty much secure. We have Madhu. We probably need to bring like one more defender to kind of like to rotate between like Farah and Daniel Bennett, because I mean obviously they are like really aging, and the 4 I would say like Shannon has the potential to step up. Left side obviously we got Shakir, who is obviously out injured at the moment. Then for the 2, I think I personally will still play Sharan there. He has done well, and he has shown that he can be someone who can dictate the play during games. But as for the sitting midfielder, I might just go for Raihan from Balestier. Yeah, I think he's a really hardworking player, and after being let go by Hougang early this season, I think he still has a point to prove lah.
Okay, so let's move on to your selection for your player of the season and young player of the season. Can be a Tampines player. Who for you in Tampines was player of the season and young player of the season?
I think the player of the season I will still go with Daniel Bennett. Yeah, I think, and the young player of the year, I would say it will be Megumi. Yeah, and I think that's pretty straightforward. Yeah.
No Shannon, Stefan.
Okay, Shannon, I like him. I think he has a lot of potential. But obviously he joined like midway through, and he only like played for the last maybe 1-2 months. So not enough game time to be selected for the young player of the year lah. But the guy has potential. I mean, he definitely can take over Ismadi, who is like probably another legend at Tampines.
All right, before we move on to, that's kind of an argument going on here between Albirex and Tampines. But okay, before we move on to Albirex, all right, let's talk a bit about the cuts that you guys had. Whereas Home United has the most yellows, unfortunately Tampines has the most reds. All right, you have a total of 5 red cards, 2 of them coming from Ismadi, whom you mentioned. Madhu Mohana has 1 red card. Yasser Hanapi has 1 red card. Of course, Yasser is not with them anymore, having moved on to the Malaysia Premier League. Khairul Amri has 1 red card, which I remember was because he took off a shirt and celebrated after he scored a goal, 2nd yellow. So that was, okay, Home United has something to say.
It's because goals are very rare for him, so he must celebrate.
But I remember that red card because he was celebrating one moment happy, and when he got flashed the 2nd yellow, he got so pissed off at the referee, he started to screw the referee. But what are your thoughts? What are the reasons that you guys are getting so many red cards?
I mean, I don't think there's like really any reason. I don't think Tampines is a very rough team. I was like quite surprised. I mean, to be honest, is Muddy on yet two red? I can't even like really recall like how he got red cards.
I think Big Donovan will refresh your memory. How did he get the first red, Ismadi?
If I'm not wrong, it's by, I think, speaking descent. It was pure descent. It was right, like, totally away from the ball, off the ball. Yeah, the first game of the season.
He should change the name to Is Dirty.
I think, it's quite legit lah. I mean, the first game was like full of controversy, you see. We were made to retake the penalty, and I think the goal was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know whether it's a legit goal by Albirex lah, but I think the first game was like just controversial. The moment we like need to retake the penalty, I thought like, oh my god, it's like, it's not our day lah, basically. And then as usual, we lost again to Albirex. And later the season, I mean, we were going to lose like another 4 games to them. So, but I mean, take nothing away from them. I think they deserve the title and like, all the other trophies that they are getting right now. But I don't think Tampines is a dirty team, if you ask me. I'm not too sure, but one thing that just surprised me is like Fazli actually getting 6 yellow, and I don't really see him play that often. So for him to even like accumulate up to 6 yellow, I think that's quite an achievement. Like, it's either he can't tackle or it's either he just can't tackle or But I mean, he's playing in midfielder right now, so he has to put in the tackles lah. I mean, Song is on 7 yellows, and that's quite understandable because he's like the one who is sitting in front of the defense. But I don't think that is like a huge concern for us. Yeah.
One more interesting stat that I actually was reading and then I came across, all right. The most sub-in player for you was Ivan Joni, 7 sub-ins. That's almost as much as Marian Soto for Home United. Now you buy a foreign striker and then, he becomes a bench warmer, getting subbed in. And most subbed out, Khairul Amri, 8 times he got subbed out. But of course, in those performances that he put in, he scored 6 goals in 700 minutes, which is a very good return for a striker. Is it a matter of fitness for both Joni and Khairul Amri? What do you think?
I think for Zotni, I mean, I think midway through the season, I was like, I think Jurgen said something like he has to work harder during one of the games. I'm not too sure whether is it down to fitness because that guy is still quite young, right? I mean, he's like 23, 24. I would say like maybe he doesn't really fit into how Jurgen want the team to play. As for Khairul Amri, I mean he's just unlucky with injuries I mean together with Fazrul. So I was just thinking like we could have like even come closer to Albirex for the title if we manage to keep the 2 of them fit. Because I mean when they are like free of injury, these 2 can get us goals. And I think that's proven, especially Khairul Amri.
All right, before we move on to Albirex, I'm going to read out one stat which I find is really interesting. Jurgen Rupp's lose percentage is 0.86%. So Jurgen Rupp's percentage of losing actually equals Kazuaki Yoshinaga of Albirex. The only reason why you guys have less points is because they have more wins than draws as compared to you guys. So that is something that I find is quite intriguing. All right, let's move on to Albirex Niigata, who are recently crowned champions. And I have with me Big Donovan, who is an Albirex, not a fan per se, but more of an observer. I got the stats wrong? Okay, maybe have to relook at that. Anyway, it's a live show, so be it lah. All right, let's look at Albirex Niigata this season. 19 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. Compared to last season, 16 wins, 2 draws, 6 losses. Now, last season they had an inferior record, but they still managed to get a champion. And this season, I think Yoshinaga has done a really fantastic job with what he has, with most of the players changed, only retaining a few key players. As an observer yourself, what do you think was the key points which led to their retaining of the championship?
Okay, I think for this season, simple. Albirex was the most consistent team. Based on the fact that, they got lucky because they didn't have any injury problems. And even with a massive overhaul, okay, Albirex only kept 8 players from last season, and out of 8 of them, 5 of them were part of the core squad this season. I say, you got Nozawa, you got Tanaka, the left back, Shuto Inaba, Kento Nagasaki in the midfield, and Kamata. Okay, Kamata played as a striker last season, but this season he was used mainly down the wings, with Sano and Nakai down the middle. So this season, because we saw that last season Kawata was the player of the year, and everybody said there's no doubt he was the best player of the year. He scored loads of goals, but if you check the stats, he actually scored 13 goals last season. Sano scored 23 goals for himself this season, and that's plus 10 in your goal difference. So so what Albirex brings to this S.League is basically their professionalism. The players are always fit. You never see them tire out in the end of the games. And I think the main difference this season is they started games as well as they finished games. I think in the first 20 minutes of this season, they scored 18 goals. So in your first 20 minutes, if you can score 18 goals throughout the season, that's almost a goal a game, you see, right from the start. And of course, with their superior fitness, they tend to finish games better as well. So for Albirex, it's all about consistency. You look at their first 11, their defense, Nozawa has played 22 games, which means he only missed 1 league game the whole season. And I think that was against a Young Lions squad where maybe the coach decided to rest him because, Young Lions are, for lack of a better word, they are poorer oppositions to what they faced in the past. Then for their defense, Rui Kumada on the right, Akiyama and Tanaka played all 23 games this season. Yanagi played 21 because I think he got injured in that game against Home United where he clashed with Hassan Sani. I think those were the only 2 games he missed. Then in midfield, Shuto Inaba and Kento Nagasaki, probably the 2 most important players for Albirex. They played every single game this season. Then, Tsubasa Sano, the top scorer, played 20 games. I think the 3 games he missed was because he got a red card. I think also against Young Lions, in the 1-0, I think he slapped Amir Ali across the face or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, So, you see, they got very lucky in the sense that they didn't have injuries. They didn't have any major injuries. I think a small Donovan mentioned Tampines had major injury problems this season. Eddie also mentioned that Home United had injury problems. So, in a sense, Albirex were fortunate enough that they had no major injury issues, and that showed throughout the whole season. They were most consistent. They scored goals for fun. They dominated the possession in most of the games.
Now, Albirex is known as a team that is pretty disciplined. I mean, for many years they've been winning the Fair Play Award because their players don't play dirty in a way. But this season we have seen 1 player getting 4 yellows, which I think for Albirex is quite unusual. Shoichiro Sakamoto. Do you think it's a disciplinary problem with him? Because the next player after him is actually Nakai and Inaba. And Inaba, for all the tackles that he puts in the entire season, only 2 yellows, I think is amazing. Sakamoto, is it a disciplinary problem with him?
Or it could be just simply due to the fact that the winger cannot tackle. Simple as that. No, it's not his job to. It's not really his job to win the ball back. So, I mean, kudos for him for trying, but you pick up yellow cards like that, so yeah.
Okay, let's do some comparison with the players that Albirex Niigata had in their winning season last season. Key players for Albirex last season was, of course, Atsushi Kawata, who has returned back to Albirex Niigata in the J-League. Kawata last season played 22 games and contributed 13 goals. As you mentioned, Sano this season, 20 appearances so far, 23 goals. So that's a 10-goal difference between Sano and Kawata. What do you think makes Sano so good? Is it because he's playing with players like Nakai, who knows how to make smart runs, who knows how to pull defenders away, and also because players like Shuto Inaba, Kento Nagasaki have another additional year of experience probably, and they know how to unlock defenses better this time around? Do you think that's the reason why?
I think for Sano, from what I've seen of him, he's a devastating finisher. Yeah, that's the thing. You get a striker, you need him to score goals, and Sano just has the knack of like finding ways to score goals. I think he's got 23 goals this season. I think only 3 of them are from the penalties. So 20 of them have come from open play. That shows that he has that knack of goals. Yeah, so in that case, for that sense, you say Kawata has 13 goals, but Nakai this season came with 11 goals. He plays slightly behind Sano. Yeah, he plays slightly behind Sano, and then he still gets the job done. He still scores goals. Kento has increased his goal tally from 6 to 9 goals this season. But what I'd like to add is that the left back, Nafumi Tanaka, has contributed 5 goals this season. I think if you find that, 5 goals from a left back, I think most of the strikers in the S-League don't really haven't reached 5 goals yet. Yeah. So, you have goals input from positions like this. It just makes your team better, see. Yeah.
Okay, before we continue, I'm actually going to read out a short message that was sent to me by Satria, who is a die-hard Albirex fan. Unfortunately, he can't join us today because he's having night classes. But this was Satria's thoughts about Albirex this season. He was saying that at the start of the season, he was having mixed feelings because as defending champions, he knew that it wasn't going to be easy. Losing players like Shirota to Hougang, to him, was kind of a big loss. And he wasn't sure if, the replacements coming in would be good enough to step up to the game. But this season, we did see players like Takuya Akiyama who came in and started every game and did a relatively good job. He was also saying that, losing Kawata, not being retained and losing him to Albirex was a big blow for him. But again, Sano came in, stepped up and actually did a very good job for them. For Albirex, a lot of people are saying that they are superior because of their fitness, of course. This afternoon, we were just having a chat and then we were sharing that, other teams have finished their shower when they came out and Albirex players were still cooling down on the pitch. Is this the key element that makes Albirex so good? Fitness and discipline. And how do you think we can start to instill this into our Singaporean teams to make them better? Because I'm sure that although as Albirex fans, they might want to see Albirex win the title every season, but the rest of the teams might not want that to happen. They want to fight, They do not want Albirex to just win and run away the title every season. Now, I'm going to ask you guys as football fans, all right? Not just as your own teams, but as football fans. What can we learn from Albirex and how do we actually match them? I'm going to pass it around. I'm going to start with Small Donovan first, followed by Jeff, followed by Eddie, and then lastly, Big Donovan.
I understand that, the players the new players that they actually bring in from Japan every year, they are like pretty much like first year as a pro, coming out from university. So it's really about fighting for a bigger contract, working hard and who knows, like Kawata, is it? Kawata? He actually get a call back to the Albirex Japan team, which is like obviously a step up as well as like a really good move for his career. So I would say they are really hungry to prove a point. Even if they don't make it to J-League, they can just get, get an opportunity with a big S-League club, and you can get to play in an AFC competition, and that's like a good move in a career as well. So if you look at the difference between local and Japan players, they are really made to fight for what they, where they want to get to, and I think that itself is a very, I think a big difference in terms of like how they approach the game, how they prepare themselves as footballers. I think it's really about being hungry, and going all out. And obviously fitness-wise, they're professional as well. First year as a pro, you just do your best and hope you get scouted by some other clubs. And yeah, so I would say like that would be the difference. And for them, it has like really worked very well for the past few years.
I think for me, quite a lot have been spoken about what happening on the field that make them successful. I'm interested to actually, we don't know much on how they run the club, but we can see, that is something that, in general, you want to aspire to. I think they have the virtuous cycle in some sense. They play good football. They attract the fans. The fans love them. they approach the right community to support them. Every time we go to Jurong West, it's when Geylang play away, that player standee, knowing your first 11, and you're from the entrance all the way in, you can feel that the atmosphere. So they must have been doing something really right off the field as well, and it breeds confidence. As a player, you wouldn't want to disappoint your fans. So I think that's a very nice equation that they have. I mean, professionalism and their discipline, very obvious for us to see. But I really hope we learn from Albirex in terms of how they run the club, how they run the fan base, and so on.
Actually, hearing what Jeff had to say and what Eric had to say, I think there's nothing much more for me to add. So, yeah.
For me, it's all about work ethic. I think you see all the superior athletes, the top of the game, they always preach, hard work. You might have the talent, but you need the hard work to push yourself further. And, from what we see from Albrecht, is they're the most professional team, training-wise, fitness-wise. The players look after themselves. I think there's no real discord among the players as well. I mean, they fully believe their manager's tactics. They are all fully behind him. So, of course, when as you are an experienced player, you have your own habits. You have different thoughts of how the game should be played. But at the same time, you have to be professional, you see. So what Albrecht's pride, what it shows is that Albrecht is just more professional than the teams around. Yeah. So it's all about hard work, lah. Yeah.
Okay, looking ahead, right, Albirex has one more final hurdle to cross, which is the Singapore Cup final against Global FC. Do you guys think that they are able to clear this hurdle? Because Global FC, well, for all it's worth, they are quite a boogie team, I feel. Because with 13 men, they actually managed to beat Hougang over 2 legs. And Hougang is not a bad team. What do you guys feel? Is Albirex going to sweep all the titles this season, or maybe Global is going to bring the Singapore Cup back to Cebu? What do you think?
I mean, there's no way that Global is going to stop Albirex. I think it would be, I think they will get all the titles this season again.
Clean sweep.
Ditto.
Easy victory.
Okay, so everyone has a very consensus on the way that Albirex is going to sweep all the titles this season. All right, so that's it, our review for the top 4 teams. We're going to move on to the national team discussion. We're going to look through the selection that Sundram has put up this afternoon. But before we do so, a short message for all of you who are listening in. Do comment on this discussion, because we're giving out a pair of tickets to the national team game between Singapore and Bahrain that's happening on the 14th of November. The funniest or the best comment today will win the tickets. And right after this show wraps up, my 4 guests are going to choose the best or funniest comment, and I'm going to contact you to collect the tickets when the game comes around next week. All right, let's move on to national team selection. So today, FAS released the list of players who are going to play against Lebanon day after tomorrow. A few inclusions that were not included in the team that traveled to Turkmenistan are I think particularly I would say Shawar Anwar, who was left out for quite a bit and then came back into the team post Turkmenistan. Emric Ong, who played against Hong Kong, got a red card, was not brought together with the team to Qatar and Turkmenistan, and now he's been drafted in again. Hami Shahin, who has been in and out, but this time round is named again. Okay, notable exclusions: Rushaidi Salime is not in here. Anders Eplin, whose name has been floated around, not appearing in here. Iswan Mabud, not in this lineup. All right, so let's pass the mic around. All right, thoughts about selection. Who was the most surprising for you, and who do you think was still excluded despite Sundram refreshing the list this time round? Let's start with Small Donovan.
One is, I suppose he's maybe injured. Yeah. Okay, I mean, to be honest, I mean, I give credit when due. I think it's like well done to Sundram this time around. I think he has been like listening to us, like to the podcast or whatever. I was quite pleased when I saw the team, in all honesty. But the only thing that I'm actually, I mean, I just don't understand why you need like 4 right backs. You have look at a team that's like Emirates, Nazrul, Faris, and Shannon. I mean, if there's something that I can change, I would take like Wailun over Emirates. Because I mean, obviously Shakir is injured. And the only proper left back that we have is like Shafiru. Yeah. And Shafiru, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, he hasn't been like really starting games for Geylang as well. So I'm not too sure whether he can, even get into the first team. So there is a chance that I think they might just play Zulfami there. Zulfami Arifin, or maybe Hafiz Shuzat. I mean, Hafiz obviously can fill in at left back lah. But I still think that, Wailun should get the call ahead of Emirates. I'm not too sure where Wailun is playing, because I've heard that he's playing in centre midfield or something. But whenever I see him play, he's always quite solid at the left back, even when, just pushing forward to support the attack. So I thought like he probably deserved the slot more than Emirates lah. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it lah. And I'm just pleased to see Shawa in the team. He's been knocking on the door for the longest time, and he definitely deserves his slot. I mean his place in the team, and to the extent that I think he should even start for the national team come this Thursday or next Tuesday. And Hami Shahin, yeah. One of the better number 10 in the league. So I think he deserves his place as well. And these are the 2 players that I actually thought that, Sundram should call up. So quite pleased to see them in the team.
Okay, before we move on to Jeff, right, I'm going to interject with a comment that I saw here, which I find is quite funny. Ken Hong Tan, why Mustafiq and Bennett still in the team though? They are so old, they can start applying for pioneer benefits.
Okay, let me answer this. Who's that guy again? Tan Kian Hong, right? Okay. To be honest, right, if you're good enough, age is not a factor. Let's like I mentioned earlier, let's look at the stats, right? We have the second best defense. Okay. Out of the 20 goals that we considered, 10 were to Alvarez. And we only considered 10 goals out of the other 20 games to the other 7 teams in the league. So tell me who is the best defender in the league? And I mean, to be honest, the reason why he called out Amadou and Farah as well as Daniel Bennett and even, Shannon, is because I think the 4 of them have been playing together for quite some time. And obviously they understand each other, And the squad is like, Bennett, I mean, he's easily still the best defender in the league if you watch S.League games. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, just Daniel Bennett is like the best defender. Let me repeat myself. Okay? So he deserves to be in the team. Farah, I'm not too sure. He's still one of the better ones around. I don't think he will play in the first team, but he's still a very good experienced player to have in a national setup. When you need the experienced head to guide the younger players along. So I think they justify their position. Do not question it.
All right. Very passionate outburst by Small Donovan.
What pioneer benefits? They are still what? They are still owning strikers in the league, okay?
Okay. Moving on back to the squad, all right. Well, this time round, there's no Shahril Ishak. So I think slowly, some of these players are actually being removed. But looking at Daniel Bennett, okay, at the age of 39, 140 caps. He has the most caps for Singapore right now with 6 goals. That's followed by Mustafiq, who has 85 caps and 8 goals. All right. I'm going to pass the mic over to Jeff. Jeff, Geylang have quite a number of players who have been called up this time round. Farid Hamid, Safiru Sulaiman, Shawa Anwar. What do you feel about the selection? Do you think it's justified this time round with Shawa in the team finally?
I think finally the Chan Sundram, are you watching him? Kind of caught up. But yeah, I think I agree with Eric in terms of, there seems to be more players that given a chance, at least in the call-up. I do hope some of them actually get a run in during the friendly and see what they are capable of. we are already at the bottom. We can't get any worse. I think it's time for us to try and see what can happen from there. There's the other thing which I'm also happy is that we are slowly getting, Sharisha isn't there, and despite being one of the highest top scorer, but I think Bai wasn't in the squad as well. I think there is a transition. I think it's a painful transition, but hopefully there's more chances for those players that is knocking on the first 11 to be given a run in this time around.
Okay, I'm going to ask you as a Geylang fan, all right? Right now, since Izwan Mahmud is out of the running for second choice, it seems like Shazwan Buhari is the de facto second choice right now, lah. Is Shazwan Buhari better than Hassan Sadi? Can he take over the number one spot?
No. To be honest, no. Hassan is still a class above. Every time we play against Home United, I can see, if any other goalkeeper would have scored some chances, but Hassan, the last game you saw, the volley against, the volley that Shawal put in, the way he got down and pushed the ball out, he's still a class above. Yeah.
But that run out by Shazwan in the last game was really very Peter Schmeichel-ish. It didn't go horribly wrong, luckily. All right, Eddie, what do you think about the national team selection? Quite a number of Home United players. I think same old for you, because players like Izzdin Shafiq, Haris Harun, Arno Mantan is in there as well, Hassan Sani. What do you think?
I think I have no trouble with most of the selection. In fact, when I said earlier that I want Adam Swandi in, right, I'm not entirely sure who I would take out. So, that points to the fact that this is a selection that I'm quite comfortable with, actually. If I was forced to take someone out, it might actually be Hami Shaheen. But that's also a bit harsh on the youngster because he's played very well. Yeah, he's played very well this season. And even against, even when Home United obviously outclassed Young Lions, I'm referring to the most recent one because we outclass them every time. But he played very well. I think he played very well. He held onto the ball very well. And it's very clear that if he played for a better team, right? If he played for a better team, then I think you'll see him shine more. For example, Adam Swandi, you see the difference between him when he played for Young Lions and when he played for Home United. It's just so different, right? So, Adam Swandi is one. Just referring to what Eric said about the 4 right backs and all that, I think it's quite clear that Nazrul Nazari and Farid Hamid, right? Or maybe Farid Hamid might actually be tried in a more advanced position, lah. That's the thing about Sundram is that he starts with what is notionally a 3-5-2 or 3-6-1. Then it very quickly becomes a 5-4-1. And then when you want to defend, right, it becomes a 9-1-0. And when you want to play that kind of 9-1-0 thing, right, what happens is that your wingers also have to be defenders. And I think that's why he has gone for this kind of overload of right backs. But basically, what will happen is that, for example, let's say he starts with Shannon Stephen or Emric Ong in a 5-man defense with Emric Ong being the right wing back. What happened when we're under the cosh, as we invariably are, is that Emric Ong will be right outside or right on the edge of the penalty area defending, and then Nazrul Nazari will take the wing. But if you look at it, then you'll just see 7 defenders, and then there'll be 2 DMs protecting them somehow. So I think that has to change, and I think for that to change, you need more Hami Shaheen, you need more Adam Swandis. It might hurt in the short term, we might start getting whacked 3-0 and all that. But frankly, how do I put this? I don't blame, as I said in the previous podcast, I don't blame Sundram for keeping things conservative because this is his job, right? He will get sacked. But surely a technical director or somebody has to say, Sablon has to say okay, enough of this bullshit. Let's take a few 3-0 losses for a while and let's just act properly to playing a proper way. I don't know whether that's being done. I'm not privy to all this information, but yeah, those are my thoughts. I don't think we'll progress until we really commit to playing more passing football.
Okay, before I pass the mic to Big Donovan, I would like your opinion. Selecting players from the bottom team in the league, do you think it's a wise move?
Well, there are pros and cons to do it. The bottom team in the league is Young Lions, right? So if we want to ensure that we have a constant stream of young players or to have players, you have to give them experience sooner or later. So, of course, back to the squad that came out. I personally don't have too many problems with the choice that Sundram made. As on the issue of 4 right backs, I think for me it's more of there's no one player that we can call. Yeah, this fella is the starting right back for Singapore. Nazrul has tried, Faris has tried in the position, Emmerich has been tried in that position. And now we have Shannon Stevenson. Shannon has been playing in that position for Tampines. He might get a run out in one of these 2 games. So I think it's clear that they have viewed the right back spot as one that's up for grabs. Maybe that's why you have 4 players trying to win that position. Yeah. So as for Shahwa Anwar, yes, the fans have been saying, yeah, we need to call him up. So now we have called him up. How about Sundram, you start playing him? Yeah, it's one thing to call a player up, but you have to put him on the field, so that we can see. It's no good like, oh yeah, you call him out, then he just trains. Yeah, but on the match day, yeah, he sits on the bench. The way. So what the fans like to see is attractive football, and Shahwa is a player, easy on the eyes. He runs at defenders. Yeah, he tries to score goals. So yeah, that's why I say it's one thing to call the fella up, but you should play him. Yeah.
Comment coming in from Ken Hong. Perhaps Sundram can go back to the 3-4-3 system used against Turkmenistan and Hong Kong. By far the best games under him. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, I agree. The 3-4-3 actually wasn't as what I said, the doomsday scenario where it became a 7-3-0 or a 9-1-0. It really was, it felt a bit like a 3-4-3, and in defense it became 5-2-3, or rather 5-4-1, which is acceptable, I think, in the current day and age and with the limitations of our Singapore squad. I think he will do the same again, and I think that really informs why he has caught up so many players. In fact, I wouldn't be too surprised if Shannon Stevens is given a run at the right central back position. Not sure if it will suit him, but it's possible that he might be tried out there because of his athleticism and everything. Yeah, might help to bail Bennett out. As you know, Bennett is very old, and he already collected his CPF, maybe, I don't know.
I don't really think Singapore has the players to actually play an effective 5-4-1. I think 5-4-1 is really just defending. There's no way we're gonna. I think once Durek actually retired, there's no more up front a single striker that can really do the job. So 5-4-1 is pretty much saying that, okay, we're not going to score anymore and just trying to keep you guys out.
Okay, gentlemen, what do you think about the inclusion of the 2 players who are playing in the Malaysia Premier League, which has actually already ended like a month ago? So match fitness could be an issue. I'm not sure if they're still training with their teams, or are they training with any S.League clubs, or because I know that NT doesn't train like every week. Safwan Barudin and Yasir Hanapi. What do you think about the inclusion of these 2 players when the league, the Malaysian league has already ended like quite a while ago? Anyone?
The situation in Safwan Barudin is quite obvious in that, imagine Australia not calling up Tim Cahill just because Tim Cahill's season has ended. You just can't. He's one of your best players. You just have to do it. Yasir Hanapi to a lesser extent, but still one of our very influential players. So you just have to call them up. But match fitness wise, I think if the coach had, obviously the coach, Sundram has a calendar of all the major events in the year, right? If he had any foresight or brains, he would have asked this, he would have put these 2 players on special training programs, I think. And I don't think it would be, and if they don't comply with those training programs, then out of the team they go. It's simple. And some people are giving me very childish stares and childish looks because of the word special, and then they're doing weird eyebrow raises. But I think that's just typical of Tampines fans.
Yeah, I think pretty much Safwan has made himself one. If everybody had the best day, best form, Safwan would be easily the top 2, top 3 best players that we have. So for us, Safwan has to be in the squad. For Yasser, as Eddie said, to a lesser extent, but he's still a decent player. He still can score goals. he scores important goals sometimes. So yeah, why not?
Okay, question. Safwan as a centre back, or as a midfielder, or as a striker? Small Donovan.
Obviously he hasn't played in the centre back role for quite some time. I think he's a good defender. So I don't even know why in the first place they wanted to shift his position, to become a more attacking role. But I mean, having said that, he has scored a lot of goals for PERM. I think I was like, 10 in 17 games. And last season, I think he was like contributing a lot in terms of the goals output as well. I think the furthest that I'll go for Safwan is like, he's like a box-to-box. But definitely not as a striker. He hasn't really worked out. I think last few games, I think Sun Jong was playing him as a striker. And you can obviously see that, he's like isolated almost like for most part of the game. So I still believe that he should move back to the centre back. But if you really want to use him as an attacking player, I think that the most that will go for is like a box-to-box midfielder, where he can just go up and support the attack.
Yeah, I think I agree that Safwan, I've always felt that his best position was defender, but I think that's long gone. He has not been played as a defender in either club or country for a very long time. So to ask for that is like asking for Eric to come out and really admit that his name is Eric instead of Small Donovan. But on a more serious note, right, what I think Safwan has to do is to relish his role in playing in centre attacking midfield, where he can get goals and contribute to the physicality and the chasing of the defense, or rather harrying the defenders when they're in possession. I think that's what Safwan can do. That's what Safwan will do for the team. He's a hardworking player. But I think really at the top of the trident in front, right, or rather the lone striker, you have to have someone who's willing to run the channels, to stretch the play. That's why I think Khairul Nizam is such a big miss. I mean, his finishing isn't the best, I would say that, but he gives defenders a lot of a bit of a hard time by running at them and always chasing them down. And of course, he's a big presence, a big unit in the air as well. With this squad, who can possibly fill that role? I really think it shouldn't be Safwan. Safwan should play behind and try to capitalize on a bit of chaos caused by the guy in front. But I'm not entirely sure who the guy in front could be. Could it be a nippy, small striker who just runs around? Shawal maybe Farish Ramli? I'm not entirely sure. So Iksan, to be very honest, I haven't watched him enough, so I can't comment on how effective he would be as a lone striker. But I know it definitely shouldn't be Irfan Fandi. I know there are certain fans who say Irfan Fandi is not a centre back and he should be converted back to he should be converted back to central striker. I don't agree. Having watched him both as a striker and a centre back, I think he's a much better centre back than a striker. It might be training or maybe not being played in the right system, but from what I've seen so far, I'd rather he stay as centre back. So yeah, I mean, the choice of striker I think is crucial in this formation. Try to get someone who can let Safwan capitalize on the half spaces that will inevitably result if you stretch defenses. Yeah.
Okay, before we move on to our next point of discussion, right? Someone wrote in here, Wong Jiawei wrote here, asking why is Iqbal not in the national team? Do you guys agree that Iqbal should be in the national team?
Well, for me, Iqbal has a lot of flair. I mean, aesthetically, he's nice to watch. He takes on players, but the final product hasn't been there for the longest time. So, comparing to the other players you have, like Shawa, the players you have Faris Ramli, they are scoring goals, you see. Yeah, Iqbal, maybe in the future, yes, you should call Iqbal. But right now, no, I don't think he gets in this team.
I think it's one of those luxury players. It's when you have a squad, stable enough, and you probably can get that goals, and you want to waste time, get it to the corner flag and draw the foul and run the clock down. He's the guy that probably you want to bring on, and rile up the defenders. So, but I think at this point it's still a luxury players. I think going back to on Safwan, I have to say I feel that with Shawal has been doing this, right? The big man, small man kind of thing, running the defense all season with him and Koto, holding up and trying to play the ball down the channels. I think it's something worth trying for sure.
Okay, next segment, I have 4 guests, so I'm going to ask each one of you to pick the players you want in the national team for the upcoming game in each position. So it's going to be a hodgepodge team, mix and match of all the 4 of you, your opinions. So Small Donovan, I'm going to give you the names of the goalkeepers. Jeff, I'm going to give you the names of all the defenders. Give me your back 4 or your back 3. Eddie, I'm going to give you all the midfielders, and Big Donovan, I'm going to give you strikers. There's only 3 strikers, Okay, so let's have a consensus. What formation would you like to play? I have 4, 3-4-3. 3-4-3, the same formation against Hong Kong and Turkmenistan, right? Do you guys all agree 3-4-3? Let's go for 3-4-3. Okay, so goalkeeper, Small Donovan, I think it's a no-brainer for you, lah. Who's going to be the keeper in your squad? Hassan Sani, Shazwan Buhari, or Zaiful Nizam?
It's a no-brainer for me, lah. I mean, it's definitely Hassan Sani for the goalkeeper.
But why not Zaiful? Why not Zaiful? I just want to hear your thoughts. Why not Zaiful or Shazwan?
I mean, like what Jeff has said earlier, I mean, Hassan Sani is like a class above the rest. So, as much as I like Zaiful, and obviously the Geylang goalkeeper based on form, he has done really well for the last few games. I'll still go with Hassan, unless he's like out injured or, or if, he's considering retirement, that's another thing altogether. But if it's not, I mean, whenever he's fit, he should play.
Okay, so it's a 3-4-3 system with Hassan as the goalkeeper. Now, Jeff, the back 3, I'm going to give you all the names. I'm going to read them out to you. Choose your back 3, all right? Daniel Bennett, Irfan Fandi, Madhu Mohana, Farid Ahmed, Mustafiq Faruddin, Nazrul Nazari, Emric Ong, Safirul Sulaiman, Shannon Stephen. Who are the 3 that you would choose?
I'll be sneaky and actually, Bennett will definitely be in there. I will give it to Bennett, right? I think he can be there. If I'd be a bit cheeky, I'll probably just pull Haris down there as well. That's being cheeky, and and the other one, I would say, in some sense, I would still start off with Irfan, for the very fact that, it's a good chance. I mean, it's a friendly anyway. It's a good chance for him to have a run out and have 2 experienced seniors alongside him. I think that will be a very interesting, I mean, for experimental sake, right? I think it will be a good experience for him.
Sounds like a solid backline. So we're going with Bennett, Irfan Fandi, Haris Harun. All right. Eddie, I'm going to pass you the mic for the midfielders. The 4 midfielders, you have to choose from Anumantan Kumar. Haris is taken, so no more Haris. Anumantan Kumar, Hafiz Sujat, Zulfami Arifin, Faris Ramli, Izdin Shafiq, Safwan Barudin, Yasser Hanapi, Shawa Anwar, Shadan Sulaiman.
I think I start with the wing backs. So I need to choose 4 midfielders in total, including these 2 wing backs. I think on the left, I'm rather hamstrung by the fact that there's no one else who can really play there except Hafiz Sujat. I think Hafiz Sujat gives a lot of energy up and down the wings. He has played in that position many times before. I think he's a no-brainer there. The right back, obviously, is where there's the right wing back, obviously, there's tons of competition there. You could go with Farid. You could go with Emerick, Shannon Stephen, Nazrul Nazari. For me, over here, you could go with Madhu as well, but I would never go with Madhu there. So not a right wing back lah. I think Madhu would fit into the 3-man defense, but definitely not as a right wing back. I think I would go with Nazrul Nazari at right wing back. Yeah, I mean, I think he's been up and down this season, but at the same time, when he's on form, I think he really adds a lot to the team. And it's actually quite cute seeing a guy so short playing in the national team. I think it's a bit like
We have a shorter player.
It's a bit like, the Albury versus Home United, there was the Pokemon Carnival, right? It's a bit like seeing Pikachu on the field. But that's not why I'm picking him. I think he's really a very good player. And even though I don't like Hougang that much, I like the fans, but not the team that much, I think Nazrul deserves a spot. Now, central midfield. I think I'll go with no more Haris lah, so that's a bit of a shame. I think I'll go with Anu Mantan to screen and to sit alongside him, but maybe play a bit more adventurous. I'll go with Shadan Sulaiman actually. I think Shadan Sulaiman always exudes a bit of class lah. The only worry is that with Shadan Sulaiman, sometimes you might get overrun in midfield because he doesn't have the legs that he used to last time. And that's not me quoting an Ed Sheeran song. But I think that might be mitigated by the fact that I'm pretty sure with this midfield choice, someone is going to pick Safwan, and then Safwan can be the guy who runs back as well. So yeah, those are my midfielders.
Alright, so Anumantan and Shadan in the center, left side Hafiz Sujat, right side Nazrul Nazari. Okay, Big Donovan, strikers, Hami Shaheen, Iksan Fandi, Cairo Amri. I hear Shannon Stephen being a striker, but that is a bit tough lah. That's a bit tough lah. He's versatile, but not that versatile lah. Hami Shaheen, Iksan Fandi, Cairo Amri. Who are your 3 strikers, right? You can choose from the others as well, those that were not taken.
Okay, for my 3, right, think of it as an inverted triangle. I want the focal to be at the back, in the number 10 spot in a way. So at the number 10 spot, Safwan Baharudin. You know? Okay, we have Anu and Shadan Sulaiman in the back, right? So Safwan will play a bit ahead of them. You know, Safwan, what can he do? He can hold the ball, he can pass, he run, he does a bit of everything lah. So up front, the 2, I'll probably play them narrower, almost like 2 strikers. So on the right will be Shawama, and on the left will be Faris Ramli. So that's where we have the pace. You know, that's where we can trouble teams, can get them to run and defenders. You know, Safwan in the back, you know, Safwan behind them is a bit more stable lah. So he can hold up the ball, he can distribute to the 2 strikers. So with the pace, the flair that we have, I think we could give Lebanon and then maybe Bahrain a run for their money. But you know, that may be wishful thinking, but let's hope for the best lah.
Sounds like a very experimental lineup lah. Let's try putting this team together. Okay, so what I'm going to do is after this podcast, I'm going to do a graphic to show the team that our guests have selected. And let's see how many of our listeners and viewers actually agree or disagree with our lineup. But, you know, having Shawal, Faris and Safwan at the top is like, we are really like just removing the lone striker that we used to play. We are going to go with a trident. So it's something that has not really been tried before. Okay, any final words for your teams or for the national team before we end the podcast?
All the best. These teams are better than us, so, you know, just give it your best.
Yeah, good luck to the boys. I mean, you know, playing against tougher oppositions, just do your best. Just try.
All right, so after this podcast, we're going to review the comments and we're going to pick the winners for the pair of tickets. Do look out on this particular podcast post itself because we're going to post the winner at the end of all the comments and we're going to contact you. Our team will contact you for the collection of the tickets. Now, next podcast is going to come after the game against Lebanon and before the game against Bahrain, where I'm going to assemble a couple of guests. We're going to sit down and review what went on against Lebanon. And we're going to see if Sundram, maybe, did he change his tactics or... You know, if he tried something new, let's review what he did and the lineup that he put up and what are the changes we feel might come. All right, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, do look out for your name. Hopefully, you're one of the winners of the tickets. And we'll see you again next time.